All right, this is one of the vehicles I just recently detailed. It's an '07 um, Mitsubishi Lancer. Um, 10 years old now. Um, this one took several hours to do. One thing I wanted to mention is in a detailing business, in the detailing world, 90% of the times, out of 100% of the times, you cannot detail a car in a couple hours. That's only 10% out of 100% of the times that you actually can detail a car in a couple of hours. That's best case scenario under optimal or best conditions. A lot of people have the erroneous way of thinking that yeah you can detail a car a couple of hours. No, you cannot detail a car in a couple of hours. Many businesses have this way of thinking. Many detail shops have this way of thinking, or many detail businesses, like I said, many customers, many people, etc., and so on. That is only best case scenario if the vehicle is not very dirty, if there's not too much to do to it. It's just a normal, quick, full detail, or a normal, fast, full detail where the car is basically clean. There's not much to do. It's just a quick, thorough, good wash and wax. The engine is not that bad. You just high pressure wash it quickly, rinse it off, blow it out, wipe it down, dry it as much as possible, dress it up, do your windows in and out, your fender wells, door jambs, rims and tires. Interior is not that bad. It's very clean. You just basically, wipe it down, clean it up really good, dress it up, vacuum it out really good, steam clean it, shampoo it, extract it if necessary. Make sure it's nice and dry afterwards. The upholstery and the carpets. Same thing with the trunk, gas door, along with your door jambs uh, and trunk jam also gets done. But it's a quick process or a fast process when the vehicle is pretty clean. There's not too much to do to it, at least within reason. Then, in those best case scenarios, you can detail a car in a couple of hours or even less than that. But usually, you cannot. The more work that you have to do to the vehicle, um, the more time it's going to take. So this is one of my videos um, when I finish detailing this '07 Lancer. So I'm making another video to mention, how it does take time to detail cars. The more work you have to do to the vehicle, the longer it's going to take. The more laborious it's going to be, the more it's going to cost. It may not be $150 to detail the car. It may be $300 to detail the car, or at least $250, because there's that much more work to do. It takes that much more time. So more work equals more time, which means more money. You have to charge more because you're spending more time on it. You have to put more work into it. So I just wanted to make that very clear for the ones that think you can detail cars in a couple hours. No, you cannot. This vehicle is a perfect example of that. This one took several hours to do, and as a matter of fact, it really, in actuality, took about a couple of days to do because it was too bad. It's an awesome '07 Lancer, but it's been neglected, poor thing. I basically brought it back. I got everything done to it. It's a full detail: engine bay, engine, exterior, interior, everything you could possibly imagine got done. It was so bad. It did take several hours, but even then, like I said before on my previous videos, I fired my boss. I quit my job because um, capitalism is the way to go. If you have to start being self-employed, you know, um, you start your own business and you develop that and you build your own business, you're still going to make a lot more money than what a job will pay you. This job right here, and of course, then you want to acquire lucrative assets. The more you grow. Um, this job right here, this detailed job, this vehicle that I did paid me so much more money than what my job would pay. In one day, it would pay me so much more than what my job would pay. Even in 2 days, this job right here paid me still, even then, so much more money than what my job would pay for 2 days. I still ended up making twice as much money. I was supposed to make a lot more, but I still came out winning. I mean, it was a win-win situation because I made so much money on this detail job because it was so much work, so laborious, and it was very time consuming. I still made so much more money on this detail job than in 2 days of work at my job. Even though it did take a couple of days, it took several hours. But that's okay because it paid very well. And I'm very happy. I'm very proud of this job. My customers are very happy with this job. Basically, this is friends of the family, and the daughter of the friend of the family. It's her vehicle. She has a baby, two baby girls, well, a baby boy, baby girl, and she has baby seat in the back. But this job right here it was bad. I love them. They're cool. They're good people, but they are dirty. On top of that, they live out in the country, you know. So the poor thing sits on the dirt, and it sits under the sun. It has no carport, no garage, nothing to protect it. So I gave it a very good thick coat of sealant and wax, 3 coats of wax, to be honest with you. It was a lot of work. The interior, for instance, was horrendous. It had cat hair everywhere. It had dog hair everywhere. Of course, the two kids, the two babies, that doesn't help. They just make the car worse. And they were, no offense, no disrespect, no, I'm not trying to be rude, but are dirty people. And on top of that, like I said, they live out in the country in the dirt, so that doesn't help. So the vehicle it was a challenge, but I knocked it out. And I got paid very well for it. A lot more than a job, you know. I would probably have to spend a week at work at a job to make the money that I made in this car for 2 days, and that's only because it was worst case scenario. It was really bad. So, this just pays so much more. And this is just the worst case scenario because usually I get a lot easier jobs where I can do 2 cars a day, two and a half full details, maybe 3 full details in one day, but usually it's 2 full details in one day. And that just, pays so much more than what a job would pay. As a matter of fact, that's like probably the salary of a week in one day in my business versus what a job pays. So anyhow, it took a long time to get this vehicle done. The interior was a challenge and a half. The whole vehicle was actually, I kept saying it was like a job and a half or 2 jobs. It actually was 3 jobs in one because the engine itself was horrendous. It had mice droppings all over the engine, especially on a strut tower, especially on a passenger side strut tower. Mice droppings because it sits out in a field, in a country, in the dirt, where that's the natural habitat of mice. And it's only, an '07, a really nice Lancer. It's not an Evo 8 or 9 or 10, but it's a really nice Lancer. 5 speed, it's just an awesome vehicle. Any better than this, it would have to be an Evo. But I mean, it's nice. And it was just so neglected. Um, and, it had mice droppings like it's an old car sitting in a field for decades or whatever, years, decades. I mean, come on. That's how bad I guess it is out there. It can be. So I did the best I could. I restored the headlights. Like I said, I sealed the paint. I waxed the paint. I cleaned out the door jambs, the fender wells, the rims and tires, the windows in and out, the entire engine bay and engine, the entire interior, trunk jam, gas door jam, trunk, speaker box that it has in the back, in the trunk. I mean, it came out outstanding. On a scale from 1 to 10, I honestly, it's at least a 10, if not off the scale. It came out that nice, especially considering the condition it was in. The poor thing. Now, I could have done even more and even better, but there's only so much time. There's only so much time you can spend on it. There's only so much the customer can afford to pay. So that determines the time and that you're going to spend on it and how much work you're going to do. But I mean, if I could have held on to it for even a few days, it would have been even better yet. because there's too much work. And of course, it would have been more expensive. I mean, a detail job averages out anywhere between $150 and $300. That's the average, no less than 100, but the average is anywhere between 150 and 300. That's the average. That's not the high. The high could be several $100s. Larry Casilla, one of the top-notch detailers in the country or in the world, details $1 million Ferraris, $1.5 million Ferraris, and $2 million Ferraris. And he charges anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000 to detail a car. And he takes a few days to detail a car, not a couple of hours. It just depends on the detailed job. But usually a detailed job will take you a few, if not several hours, not a couple of hours. That's just the way it is. So just want to make that very clear. Also, it's not about how fast you get the job done. Some people say, oh, it's about how fast and how well you get the job done. That is not necessarily the case. It depends. It depends. In this case, I don't care how good you are or how fast you are. Even this job right here would have taken you a minimum of 1 to 2 days like it took me, because it was that much work. You know, when it's one detailer by themselves doing everything. I'm not talking about having a team of detailers where you have a few or several detailers working on the same vehicle at the same time. No, I'm talking about one detailer by themselves doing everything. I don't care how good you are, it's going to take you, and this is a perfect example of that, anywhere between 1 and 2 days to detail a vehicle like this. And that's hustling, moving fast, because there's that much work to do to it. It's that bad. It could even take you a few days. Even that's still very reasonable, depending on how much work you have to do. So that's basically what it comes down to. That's what I wanted to mention on this video of detailing and capitalism. Uh, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is sometimes. You know, many times you can knock them out in a couple of hours, but usually 90% of the times, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to take you a few, if not several hours, or half a day, or all day. That's just the way it is. It could take you a couple of days, like I said. So yeah, detailing a vehicle could be anywhere from a couple of hours, excuse me, or a couple of days. That's just the way it is. So I think that's all I wanted to mention for now. But to wrap it up, the roof on this Lancer needs to be repainted, and so does the trunk and the wing, because like I said, it sits under the sun, so it gets beat up a lot. But for what it is, it's an outstanding car. I love this car. It's such an awesome car, and I TLC'd it a lot and brought it back. All right, you guys, that's a wrap. Later. See you on the next video.